What's up, everybody? It's me, E-Man from E-Man's Movie Reviews, and this is the second episode of the recap with E-Man. I kind of like the sound of that. I was struggling to figure out a title for this. I was going through like a whole bunch of different ones. We had some great suggestions in the comments, chatting with E-Man, popcorn with E-Man, and you know what? Look, nothing's written in stone. For all I know, in 5, 10 years from now, if this is still going, maybe we'll change the name again. I don't know. But for right now, the recap with E-Man, it just rolls off the tongue kind of easy. I don't know. The recap podcast, whatever. Anyway, here we are, episode 2, and what we're gonna do is talk about a number of things that happened during the week, all in the entertainment area, and we're going to talk about some news, rumors, and my thoughts on a couple different topics. So let's just jump right into it. Of course, we're still under quarantine, right? I think this is quarantine day number 14, 15. I don't know. I'm losing track. Every freaking day feels like Saturday and Sunday to me. It's incredibly awkward and weird, but this is where we are right now. And, it is still impacting the movie industry. Movies are still being delayed. Recently, I want to say China, who has kind of, well, supposedly they've gotten over the coronavirus, and their cases have started going down, which is always good if that is the case. They opened up their theaters all over again, and that was great for like a day, and then they closed them like 2 days later or whatever. So right when we thought there was going to be a little bit of hope for the movie theater industry, yeah, China was like, nah, we was just playing. Grand opening, grand closing. So, even if that is the case, other movies have been, stopping their production entirely. And we're talking about like some of the bigger name movies like The Batman with Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson. They shut down production. The Matrix 4 has stopped shooting. Shang-Chi, Marvel's Shang-Chi, that has also stopped production. So it kind of sucks, that these type of things that we're kind of hoping would be in the works are, well, they got to stop. They got to stop. There's a pandemic going on. So unfortunately, they got to do what they got to do. And it's understandable. Recently, if you recall from the last podcast, I talked about the breaking news that had more breaking news about Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman, at first, WB was considering whether they should drop it on video on demand or on digital release. And then the report came right after that was like, nah, we're not going to do that. We're going to push this out in the theaters because Wonder Woman was supposed to come out in June of 2020, which, according to some experts, is maybe kind of sort of around the time we'll get back to normal. Who knows? Well, recently it was confirmed that Wonder Woman is actually going to be pushed back all the way to August of 2020. So we still get the theatrical release, which I'm totally in favor for. I mean, I am a staunch believer that there are certain movies that should be on the big screen and are better viewed on the big screen compared to, I mean, would you want to watch something like Avatar, Gravity, the any Avengers movie on your phone or on your laptop? I mean, that's fine for like maybe a second, third viewing, but initial viewing, come on, you need that experience, of being in a theater, seeing everything on the widescreen, having that communal experience with the audience members and everything. That's something that I don't think you could just replace by dropping it on demand. But, as I mentioned before, if it's a smaller budget movie, if it's just something, like an indie film or whatever, then fine, go ahead and drop that. Thankfully, in the midst of this pandemic, there are some movies that are still doing their production and they haven't quit just yet. So it was also reported that Doctor Strange 2 is still scheduled to do, kind of their production, but remotely. So I'm totally down with that. I love the fact that some other movies are still kind of, cranking it out, but they're doing what they can to work around the situation. And in the case of Doctor Strange 2, they still plan on shooting in June. So that's cool. It was also reported that George Miller, who is responsible for the Mad Max movies, he's also working on a spin off Furiosa movie. Now, it's kind of up for debate whether this is a side story of Furiosa or if this is a prequel to her. Now, I'll be honest, I really, really enjoy all of the Mad Max movies, like even the third one with Mel Gibson and all that. But when it came to Furiosa's character, I actually really liked what Charlize Theron did. Like, I don't think that more needed to be said about her. I'm not particularly interested in a prequel for her, and if you're gonna do a spin-off movie, I I just don't know how much more you can add to her character, because I thought her character was compelling and relatable and enjoyable enough in the most recent Mad Max Fury Road film. So, I do we need it? Maybe. I know some people are diehard fans of the franchise and they're just like, whatever, just give me a Furiosa movie. I don't really care. I'll take it. And I get that. I totally do. I think it was also reported that Anya Taylor Joy was in the talks for being cast. Now, we don't know if she's going to play a younger Furiosa. We don't know if she's just going to be a different character. People are kind of putting their money on the fact that it might be a younger Furiosa. But, you know, to me, I just want to see Charlize Theron because, hey, Charlize Theron, how you doing? But outside of that, I mean, she really nailed the role, and I don't really think, we really need a prequel. But I'll still go watch it, as I'm sure most people would. So if you would still be interested in watching a Furiosa prequel or a spinoff, let me know in the comments, or hit me up on my social media networks just to share your thoughts on that, if you would be interested in that Furiosa film. Now, for some more positive news, Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson have confirmed that they have returned home after being diagnosed with COVID-19. So that's some excellent news, because, my goodness, Tom Hanks is a national treasure and needs to be protected at all costs. And you know what? I kind of wasn't worried. I mean, there's been a meme going around that Tom Hanks has been preparing for this his entire life. I mean, the guy just keeps on surviving and finding a way to make it. So you know what? Good. I'm just glad him and Rita Wilson are okay, because we need some more good news, right? We need a little bit of positivity in all this, pandemic stuff that's been going on. Now, moving on to some rumors that have been dropped lately. Okay, now, part of the reason why I wanted to do this vlog podcast was because I wanted to have an opportunity not to do clickbait, rumor mill videos or anything like that, but I did want to at least address some rumors that might be out there. And one rumor that's been floating around is that Robert Downey Jr. is potentially in talks of returning back to the MCU. Now, I really need people to kind of understand that this is something to take with a huge grain of salt. According to the rumor, because Robert Downey Jr.'s, Dr. Dolittle movie just didn't do very well, uh, you know, the checks are getting a little dry. So because he's not making as much money as he thought, according to this rumor, he's thinking about going back to Disney and doing the Iron Man role all over again. Again, huge grain of salt with that, because in my opinion, this also came from WeGotItCovered.com, which is one of those sites that it almost like banks on clickbait. They will take anything and everything and just put it out there. And the crazy thing is that more websites are starting to pile on and use them as a legitimate source. The problem is the fact that most of their rumors don't always pan out. And I really kind of wish people will do a little bit more diligence when they hear these kind of fantastic rumors. If something, let's just say, sounds too good to be true, let me just put it out there right now. If Robert Downey Jr., as big of a star as he is in the MCU, if he were legitimately considering or trying to get out there, trying to get back into the MCU, every news entertainment outlet would be reporting this. Every one of them. I'm talking about like the more legitimate, credible websites, not I don't know, showbiz entertainment.blitz.com, or MC, no, what's the other one? Cosmicnews.com or whatever. No, not that. I'm talking about HollywoodReporter.com, Variety.com, Deadline.com. These are websites that have credible sources, credible reports, verifiable inside information and stuff. So just kind of be leery out there, when you hear this fantastic news, that if other bigger major publications are not talking about it, it might not be true. So just understand that, please, because I know some people get really hyped about that and they share it, and all of a sudden people start believing it, and it's just not something that's true. I mean, we get hopeful about it. Don't get me wrong, and I get it. I personally would really love for Robert Downey Jr. to come back. Matter of fact, and this kills me to this day, I've been so busy with videos and, working my real job and, having a family and all that stuff, that there was a video that I was going to make. And this was, I want to say it was either before Infinity War or right after Infinity War and before Endgame. And the video, I already recorded it. I just never had a time to like edit it and finish it. And the video was going to be how to recast Robert Downey Jr. if he were to leave the MCU, right? Because there were all these rumors at the time that the Endgame was going to be his last movie, because it was also the last one on his contract. And I made a video that talked about how he was going to, or I'm sorry, I made a video about the best way that Marvel could recast him or recast Iron Man in an acceptable way that Marvel fans would appreciate. Unfortunately, I don't know. I forgot about the video. I let it sit, and I think other people had already came up with different ideas and stuff, or some of the similar ideas. And one thing I don't like to do is post stuff that seems like it came from somebody else. I like to be original, so I just never did it. But I do like the idea of Downey coming back to the MCU, because they can do it in some, I think, believable ways. One way from the comics would be the fact that he was an AI, kind of similar to Jarvis. And we saw a little tease of that in the final episode, in the final, scenes of Endgame, where he was doing that projection to Pepper and to his daughter. That could easily be something that a futurist like Tony Stark, someone who's so paranoid about the future, that could easily be something he would do. Download his consciousness into an AI. Come on now, that's not that far-fetched. And again, it does have some comic roots. So he could totally do that. I could totally see him being a mentor for maybe even the kid from Iron Man 3, which, by the way, I think I'm going to do a video on why Iron Man 3 should probably get your reconsideration, because I know a lot of people trashed Iron Man 3, and I just recently rewatched it, and honestly, I think that it's getting a really bad rap that's a little bit unwarranted. So I'll post that video soon, but I do have a couple reasons why I do think we should really take a second look at Iron Man 3 and kind of just challenge our own biases as to why we didn't like it back then and why maybe we should appreciate it today. So anyway, that'll be coming up in the works. Moving on, we also have some news that Disney might actually be considering pretty heavily whether they should actually drop Black Widow on video on demand or on Disney Plus at this point. Hey, they did it with Onward. Onward cost more money than Black Widow did. Disney's also kind of like on a schedule. I'm sorry, I should say Marvel. Marvel's kind of on a schedule when they have all these other things in production. A lot of these movies tie and feed into the others. So, look, I'm all for just dropping it on Disney Plus. I know it probably would be better to see it in the theaters. It just sucks because of the situation. It's kind of like, well, when are you going to drop it in theaters? You're going to wait until the fall? But what is that going to do with Falcon and Winter Soldier? Are you going to push that back as well? Because that, all these things are supposed to set one thing up and feed into the other. And I don't know if Disney really wants to keep messing with that timeline. It might just be worth just dropping it, making people pay maybe like an extra fee or something. Actually, it's already happened with bigger name films like The Hunt, or Emma, or Invisible Man. They've just dropped straight up on digital for like $20, and you could just go get them now and go see them. So it seems like that's going to be the kind of trend that's going to happen, especially for movies that were supposed to come out, between March, May, April, in the summertime. Like, so I kind of think that they're just going to go ahead and do that. And I'm totally fine with it. But I will say that there has been a rumor going around about Black Widow. Now, this was something that was dropped on Reddit. Reddit, is a place where a lot of rumors fall as well. Again, these are the type of rumors that you have to take with a grain of salt. One of the rumors about Black Widow was basically, this person claims that they had seen the Black Widow movie early, and they saw, everything that happened with the post-credit scene and just the story and all that. I will say that I don't know if I really believe what this rumor states, and I'm not going to say it on this video or this episode because I don't want it to be spoilery if it actually does pan out. So what I will do is I will make another video, and in that video I'll just talk about my top 3 concerns about the Black Widow movie, because it could be spoilery, and hey, if you don't care about spoilers, you could definitely just go watch it. But I will say that I kind of alluded to these concerns in my previous Black Widow theory video. So if you haven't checked that out, please go check it out. Basically, I give you like all these wild, crazy theories of who Taskmaster could be, and just some different ideas that the Black Widow movie can go in that I think would be pretty compelling if they did it. But we'll see what actually happens when the movie drops or comes out. Moving on, it has also been reported that Disney Plus has released a survey to some of their users, asking them whether or not users would want to be okay with some content that's a little bit more for mature audiences. So some of the shows that have been proposed were things like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Firefly. Now, look, I totally get it. Disney has always wanted to keep like a family friendly type of, persona with all their content. But let's be real. Families have adults in them too. Families are not always watching things with their kids. We also have the ability to, separate things. And I personally think that Disney Plus just needs to move into a model similar to Netflix. What I love about Netflix is the fact that you can create different profiles, and you can set them according to, whatever maturity ratings, and they have parental, locks and stuff set up. Disney can do that. There's nothing holding them back from doing that and still preserving, their family friendly, model. Because, hey, what if I have a family of, a bunch of 16-year-old kids? You mean to tell me that we're forced to only watch DuckTales? Like, we can sit here and, monitor these things, and you can still maintain your positive, family friendly, image at the same time. So, Disney Plus, guess what? Your content is lacking already. It's incredibly questionable. So, go ahead and use some of that Fox content that you just acquired, put it on there, put some parental locks, and give us different profiles, and it'll be fine. You might actually attract more subscribers along the way. Anyway, moving on to a next piece of news. David Arbor, If you recall, he's basically the guy on Stranger Things. You know, he was on the most recent Hellboy movie, and he had a very interesting comment. Basically, he wanted to blame fans for the failure of the most recent Hellboy movie. I I I don't even understand how celebrities and actors can be so disconnected sometimes from reality, But this was his quote. Guillermo del Toro and Ron Perlman created this iconic thing that we thought could be reinvented. The loudness of the internet was like, we don't want you to touch this. And then we made a movie that I think is fun and I think had its problems, but was a fun movie. And then people were just very, very against it. How about the movie was just bad? Crazy idea. Hellboy was not a good movie. And this is not just my opinion. I mean, this was something from critics and fans alike. The reviews across the board are just terrible. And let's kind of put this idea to rest that, fans just hate it and therefore the movie sucks. No. It's kind of like a circular argument in a sense, or circular, logic. Like, if you put out a good product, people will tend to like it. If you put out a bad product, people will tend to not like it. Have fans in the past, going across different franchises and stuff, have fans been toxic and fans been pre-negative before they've even seen things? Absolutely. I mean, Star Wars is a perfect example. There's absolutely been situations where fan bases or certain people within the fan base will just be downright against things and they'll hate it. But then when something comes out, it's either super successful or it changes people's minds. And I'd like to think that, again, if you put out a good product, it doesn't matter what people thought beforehand, they will just like it, And Hellboy was just, it was just such a, and I'm talking about the more recent Hellboy, it was just such a terribly made movie. It was just, I mean, my goodness, it was just really, really bad. I've got a spoiler-free review of it because I really don't want to go too deep into how terrible that movie was, but it was just bad. Don't blame the fans for that. Come on now, you admitted it yourself. The movie had problems. Look up anything that David Arbor was going through while he was making the film and after. He was not a fan of this project. He was not having a fun time. I don't even know where this quote came from or why he was sitting here making this statement where he was not a happy camper, So, yeah, hey, don't use the fans as a scapegoat. Please, miss us with that BS. For some more positive news, by the way, Castlevania Season 4 has officially been confirmed. I am super, super excited about that. Castlevania, in my opinion, is like one of the best animated shows right now on Netflix. It made my number one recommendation in my quarantine and chill video for basically the best things to watch on Netflix. Go check that video out if you haven't already, or if you need some ideas on things to watch. But Castlevania, oh my goodness, that show is such a joy. The animation is tight and crisp. I love the themes that they dig into. They get into like all these moral ambiguity type of situations. People are questioning politics and religion, and it is just a smorgasbord of just goodness. And it's just, it is violent, it's crazy. You don't even have to be a fan of the video game series to like enjoy it. And it is so lovely that they have greenlit season 4. I can't wait. I envy all of you who have not seen it and you plan on binging it, because you get to go through the entire thing and just eat all that goodness. Oh, golly. I am super excited about that. So Castlevania Season 4 is coming out. But this brings me to the final topic. I just watched The Tiger King on Netflix. Oh my God. I don't I didn't know the world could be this crazy. This documentary, Netflix has had a long history of building up these, true crime documentaries that are like the wildest, craziest stories out there. And the Tiger King is no exception. I don't even want to like ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but the Tiger King is like, I don't even, it's hard to even describe it. It's about this guy named Joe Exotic. He was like this animal, or he raised tigers, and he loved big cats, and he had other animals, of course, and he had like this petting zoo type of thing going on. And I guess he was like a big thing in I want to say it was Oklahoma or something like that. But this documentary basically takes his story and how an animal rights advocate was trying to gun for him, and then him and other animal, petting zoo owners or whatever around the country were like, it was just like, I don't know, like it was like this circular battle of pettiness, people being conned, the quote unquote love stories. There's a cult involved with this. It's nuts. Now, I will say this. I only watched it because there was so much hype about it, right? And because there was all this hype, it just kept trending, and I'm seeing all the memes and stuff for the Tiger King, and I'm like, what are y'all, what is this? So I sat down with my wife, we sat down, we watched it. I'll say that the first 3 to 4 episodes, wild, crazy. The story just plot twist, plot twist, plot twist. It's a ridiculous series of events that keep on happening. And you're sitting here wondering yourself, like, is this a reality show? Like, is it real? And irony is, he did have a reality show in the works. But, you know, outside of that, the first 3 to 4 episodes are pretty interesting. But after that, and it's 8 episodes long, I want to say around the 5th, 6th, 7th episode, it does start to kind of dwindle off because they start getting to, like the legal stuff, and, they start getting into like all the minutia details and everything. And the only issue is, because every episode is like 45 minutes long, it's hard because you're sitting here like, all right, I've already committed 4 episodes. It's hard to turn back because I kind of want to see where this goes. And yeah, it does kind of end off with some crazy stuff too, but I want to say it just kind of goes more downhill than it goes uphill. Either way, I finished the whole series. It's definitely something interesting to watch if you're bored. I would recommend that you watch the first 2 or 3 episodes. If you're not completely hooked by it, feel free to just let it go. It's not something you absolutely have to watch. I think that if you watch the first 2 episodes, maybe 2 or 3, you'll be as caught up as everyone else who's raving about the show. You'll understand the memes a whole lot more because that's where all the crazy stuff really jumped off from. If you've seen The Tiger King, let me know what you thought about it. Let me know in the comments, like, oh, by the way, they are actually apparently greenlighting a movie for this. And they've already landed Kate McKinnon from Saturday Night Live to play the big cat lady, Carol Baskin, who, by the way, Carol did that. Carol, I don't believe not a word that woman says. She did that. Okay? I don't care. But anyway, Kate McKinnon has been confirmed to play Carol in the upcoming Joe Exotic, Tiger King, whatever movie that they're going to be doing. And it's real funny because if you go on Twitter, Dax Shepard and Ed Norton have been going back and forth about who they think should play Joe Exotic. Both of them want to play the role. And it's pretty hilarious because, people have already photoshopped Dax into the role. I think Dax looks the best part. Like, he looks the best compared to the real Joe Exotic. Other people have definitely mentioned David Spade from Joe Dirt because he's been prepping for this role his entire life. Danny McBride has also been thrown into the mix. I don't know. I don't know if you have an opinion on who you think would be a better pick to play Joe Exotic. I really like Dax for the role. I think he can definitely handle it. I am the Tiger King is ridiculous, but you know what? Like I said, Netflix has already been doing crazy documentaries. So, if you were interested in some other ones, definitely recommend The Fire, The Greatest Party That Never Happened. That was nuts. That, if you haven't seen Fire, that one I think is more entertaining to watch. Abducted in Plain Sight is I I don't even know. I couldn't even finish it, to be honest with you. That was something that I could only watch maybe the first 2 episodes of it, and it was just like you people can't be this stupid. Like I don't. Some people I'm just like, you know how you just get like allergic to stupidity, and you're just like, nah, like y'all so dumb. I'm just gonna go over here because oh golly, like a good one to check out on HBO is McMillions. That one talks about the Monopoly game conspiracy, or that, the con job or whatever that happened in like the 90s. Wow. That is deep. That's another one that also kind of falls off maybe, after like the third or fourth episode. But I had no idea that the Monopoly game was so rigged back then. And it is pretty interesting just to see how wild it gets. I think my favorite true crime documentary so far has been Making a Murderer. I know that was pretty popular a couple years ago. I really like that whole series. I think it's incredibly interesting, very compelling. Definitely something that would be way more interesting to watch over the long term, even though, they add a little fluff in there, with like dealing with the main character's family and everything. Like, but hey, I really enjoyed it. If you have some other true crime documentaries to recommend, please let me know. I heard about the Don't Mess with Cats. I don't know. I watched like 30 minutes and I don't know. Maybe I'll give that another shot, but I heard that was also wild. But hey, Netflix is making their money and doing their thing, and all power to them. If you happen to have like any questions, or if there are any specific topics that you'd like for me to cover in next week's episode, please shoot me an email at askeman411@gmail.com. Again, that's askeman411@gmail.com. Now, of course, I'll definitely be trying to cover, maybe like the biggest, most important news. So, you don't have to like send me an email saying like, hey, it's been reported, Robert Downey is coming back. Like, if it's big news, I'll cover it. But if there's another topic that you want me to expand on or give my thoughts on, I'll be happy to do that. Just shoot me an email, and maybe you'll get a shout out on the video as well. So anyway, thank you all so much for joining me. I always appreciate it. If you enjoyed this, please be sure to subscribe. I will post the link on how you can find me on podcasts in the link description. So until next time, I'll see you all later.